Hello and welcome to this very special program about a very special issue with one of the world's most special human beings, Bill Gates. You know, I do remember a few years ago interacting with Bill Gates in front of an audience of IIT and techie students. And before the start of a show, the producers always ask you, and they ask Mr. Gates, could you please do an audio check, which normally involves, counting 1, 2, 3 to 10. And Bill Gates, without batting an eyelid, started his audio check with 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, and the whole young audience was in splits of laughter. Today, he may start with 51, 50, 49 and go all the way down to 0. And you will see why those numbers are so important in just a moment. Today is also special because of this really excellent book that has been written by Bill Gates. It's a very important book on the disaster we all could be facing because of pollution and climate change. So the book is not only full of transparency, it has no jargon, and most of all, it's full of excellent information put simply and clearly. So Bill Gates, thank you very, very, very much for joining us and spending the time. I know how tight your schedule is. In fact, I will be asking you about your personal life, about Melinda Gates, you and the kids during the course of the next half hour or so. How your life has changed because of the pandemic and how we could all learn perhaps from what you've done. I must say this book is one of the most informative books I have read on climate change. What I love about it is that it's so clear about the challenges that lie ahead and the disaster all of us and our children could face if we don't do something. And there's one chapter where you say, it's going to be hard, but don't be depressed when you read this chapter. So I had a laugh when I read that first sentence, but then you do give a lot of positive examples where things have gone well. So it combines fear with incentive for all of us to do something, and in the end, the book leaves us with hope. But bottom line, if you could just explain to all of us your concept of 51 to 0, 51 billion tons of emission that we pollute in the air every year globally, and you want to bring that down to 0 emissions? Is that too ambitious, going to 0? Is it an idealistic target versus what could have been a more practical target?
Yeah, getting from 51 billion, which is the total number of tons emitted per year globally, down to 0 is going to be the hardest thing humanity's ever done. It's going to require more capital investment, more innovation, more collaboration, but it's pretty imperative that we do it. The destruction of natural systems and the change to the weather and just the heat that a country like India will be dealing with and what that means about outdoor work, it's really disastrous. And I wish the goal was only to reduce 30 or 40%, but as long as you add CO2 to the atmosphere, it stays there for thousands of years. And so the increase in temperature is basically the sum of all the emissions over a long time in the past. So as long as you're adding any, the temperature is going up. And that means we have to look at all the sources of emissions.
Yes, you have a very clear chart in the book that clarifies what are the different sources of pollution, and it will change a lot of people's perspectives. The varying extent to which we are damaging our environment with greenhouse gas emissions. And the worst 7 polluters are coal with 19% of all pollution, cars and buses with 12%, livestock, cement, natural gas, steel, all with about 6% each. The perception that people have is often very different from this.
And most people don't realize that's actually a very broad set of things. Many people would say it's coal plants making electricity,